I feel like the title of the video kind of already gives away what the video is going to be about. But I want this video to be about the topic: being perfect is basically impossible. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. See, being perfect, or the idea of being perfect, meaning that you are 10 to 10 across the board with no flaws, is completely impossible. You might be asking what I mean. Well, what I mean is that when it comes down to perfection, it's only so many things that can actually be quote unquote perfected. There's no true form of perfection, especially when it comes down to when you're talking about a person. See, a great example of what I mean by this is working out. And that's one of the main things that I be prioritizing. Um, when it comes down to working out, there's never going to be such thing as a perfect anything. Especially when it comes down to splits or routines or the exercise itself. When it comes down to eating, no such thing as perfect. With this whole being perfect thing, it just I feel like it's just not possible, like at all. Another example when it comes down to being perfect is like diets. It's 100% impossible to be perfect with your diet. Maybe you can get it right for a day or two, maybe even an entire week, but at some point, it's not going to be 100% perfect. You might eat too much one day, you might eat too little the next day. On the topic of the diet, especially when it comes down to dieting, you got to have days where you got to just enjoy yourself and actually just eat something that you like to, other than trying to eat healthy 100% of the time, 7 days a week, 24/7. Because that's only going to lead to you hating the diet and getting off of it. Being perfect is something that is truly going to make you hate what you're doing. What I mean by that is that you're going to just hate what you're doing because you're trying to become a perfectionist instead of someone who's doing this thing consistently. Like, I'd much rather be someone who does something consistently than trying to be perfectionist, especially with these YouTube videos. With these YouTube videos, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just trying to be consistent with it. I'm not trying to become no perfectionist. I'm currently on my back porch, just thinking, right? Trying my best to think of video ideas, and I thought that it was the best possible idea to make a video about, as my channel is mostly about talking and self improvement. It's gonna make you start hating yourself. You know, because when you think about it, not a single person on earth is perfect. Even the people that you view as higher than you, they have nothing perfect about them either. You know what I mean? So many people that you look up to, thinking that they are 100% perfect, probably make worse mistakes than you ever would in your entire life. What exactly can be perfect? Because perfect, some things can be perfect. Well, when it comes down to certain things, I'm gonna tell y'all what can be perfect. Okay, if it's, for example, if it's something that's customly made for you, then yeah, it could be something perfect. Or if it's some type of artwork or something around those areas, it could be something perfect. Maybe it's some type of thing that's being built. It can be perfect. Not all the time though, but most times it should be, or it can be perfect. Perfection is definitely something. I mean, from what I've seen and from what I see the day to day, nobody's perfect. You can see my YouTube channel. I mean, hey, my YouTube channel isn't perfect. What was my last video about? My last video wasn't nothing special. It was just me talking in front of a camera for a couple of minutes. My YouTube videos should not be viewed from a perfectionist point of view. They should be viewed from a consistency point of view, because at least I'm doing my best to continuously post day in, day out. Okay, I'm back inside, but to continue on with the topic I was rambling on about outside, what truly is perfection? That's a great question. Now think about it. Now I'm put the definition of perfection right here, but with that being said, what is our definition of perfection? Like, what is your definition of perfection? That means something without flaws, something without error. Are you your definition of perfection? How are you your definition of perfection? Right? Like, you've made a flaw. You probably are, you know, having multiple flaws about yourself at this very moment. And this video is a retrospective of perfection from a perfect person. Being perfect is pretty difficult. I mean, think about it. When it comes down to sports, is there ever a player that plays perfectly? No, there isn't. As I go throughout life, I start to see the cracks within people, showing, how they truly are not perfect. I've seen people who try to present themselves as perfect, and throughout that time as trying to present themselves as perfect, they ended up making some of the biggest flaws I ever seen somebody make. So with that being said, what defines perfect? Now, with that being said, my definition of perfect probably isn't the same as your definition of perfect. You're probably saying, "Oh, for me, perfect could be da da da," or you know, with your definition of perfect could probably mean the bare minimum. While me, I could go on a whole rant on what my definition of perfect is, especially when it comes down to perfection in people, which I don't think there really is such a thing. I mean, I have flaws myself, although I call myself a perfect person, which I am. I have myself some flaws, you know what I mean? Especially when it comes down to school. But I have a whole other video on that topic, which you can find on my channel if you go through it and you see my video titled "I'm not really the biggest fan of school." I don't really think this is much of a filler post. I think this is actually an important post on my timeline, or you know, for people to see, that I would like people to see. Back on the idea of being perfect. What makes something perfect? Like, instead of a person, what can make an item perfect? What makes a food item perfect? I mean, with that being said, perfection, although I'm probably going against what I said earlier, it really is held in the eyes of the beholder. While you can probably point out all the flaws in someone's art or food, they probably see it as perfect and they could see nothing wrong with it. That also goes along with people. Someone may see you as perfect, no flaws at all. Even when they see you make mistakes, they still think that you have no flaws. But on the other hand, there's someone who's looking at you and that think, oh yeah, he has a bunch of flaws. He's not perfect. I mean, he's far from perfect, and I'm way better than him. Which I don't think that's how you should ever see life. Like when it comes down to it, you should never be like, oh yeah, I'm better than somebody else, so and so. Unless they did something extremely bad, you have no reason to be calling yourself better than anybody. Well, and I know I'm doing that, but I'm saying you shouldn't. When it comes down to my YouTube channel, the rules don't come back to me. They don't apply to me, in all honesty. I mean, all right, this is like, this ain't got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But I have went throughout my closet and I have went ahead and gathered all the baggy pants that I had. And I will be preparing to get rid of them in the coming months. Actually, I'm gonna show y'all. Here's all of them right here. You see this? I think I might keep one or two of them just because I like how they look. 'Cause I always wanted the black baggy pants, but you know, this is like a little segue to, it's like a little segue, something that's not really important, just a little fun fact to go along with the video, just in case you want a little update on that. I feel like you should still work on trying to become perfect, if that makes any sense. You should work on trying to become perfect. Although you may never reach it, you should always try to work towards perfection. Why? Because working towards perfection consistently, okay, that doesn't mean trying to be perfectionist, but working towards the idea of perfection consistently will lead you to doing a lot better with what you're trying to perfect. Even though becoming perfect on what you want to is probably entirely impossible. I don't really know how much else I can really be saying in this video, but it is gonna be a little bit of a shorter post. I think I might add more to it. But with that being said, I hope that this is a great video to y'all. And I think that I deserve a like, subscribe, and a comment just for bringing out another Peak Kid Cartier production. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here.